You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
And this week I have a wonderful guest, Bea Noir. Now, she does loads of stuff. She's a freak show performer, or she does bed of nails, she does fire eating, fire breathing, she does a lot of pole stuff. She explains all of that. So much going on with this guest. It was so nice having her on. If you want to follow Bea, and again, all the bio stuff will be in iTunes, and I'll put it at the end. You can follow her on Facebook, so she's Bea Noir, B-E-A Noir, but she's also known as Bea Kania, K-A-N-I-A, so you can get her on Facebook. And it lists all her businesses on there, and she's part of Cognitive Merchant, which is another leather producing Dungeons and Dragons costume stuff. So that's another thing we sort of slightly touched on. Instagram at Bea Noir 86 and Twitter at Bea Noir 86, the same one. So it really is a great episode, and one of my first, I think, fire breathers and fire eaters, and we go into a lot of detail on that one. So sit back, enjoy, get to the Instagram account, fantastic photos to see, and welcome the fabulous Bea Noir. Okay, welcome to Funny Peculiar Podcast, and I'm here today in Manchester at the Airborne Studios, and my special guest today is Bea Noir. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I know, it all feels a bit formal, this, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I've got the dictaphone, it's official, the podcast is starting. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem.
And we were just talking earlier, and I was saying to Bea, how do you describe yourself? And one title won't describe yourself here. So
No.
just go through some of the things that you do.
Fire, anything that involves fire eating, breathing, body burning, all sorts of fire props, pole dancing, freak show such as bed of nails, glass walking, glass eating, blockhead, body stapling, stilt walking, a few other bits of aerial that I'm dabbling in, such as hoop and silks and stuff like that.
Wow.
But yeah, there's too many to mention. I've probably forgotten some.
And there is so many there.
Yeah.
And so out of all of those, what's your favourite at the moment? Do you go through a love-hate relationship with some of these?
Yeah, well, I started out with pole, and that was, I still love it. I teach pole dancing and I can't get enough of it, but I think I'm going through a bit of a lull with it. So at the moment it's just anything to do with fire.
You like the fire at the moment. So because I saw you recently at Club Lash, because it was their 20th anniversary, and part of the group of performers you were with. So that night, what were you, just describe some of the performances you were doing?
So on that night specifically I did my vampire pole act, which is fun. I like acts that have character in, so I like theming it and getting a proper costume sorted, stuff like that.
So a vampire pole. So you were so the costume for that. Just describe that. Was that like the leather
very floaty red?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So was it a corset thing? You always like the dresses.
It's like almost like a split dress.
Yes.
Kind of Princess Leia, but twisted to one side.
I like that.
Yeah.
A dark Princess Leia.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
Queen of the Damned.
That's it. So yes, there was the pole, and that was the part of what you were doing there, and there was a bed of nails as well.
My friend Harley, who's part of Monster Sick as well, the group that I'm with, she was doing her bed of nails Zatanna act. Okay. Zatanna is the comic book character, so she kind of drew her inspiration from that.
Okay, and are you into comic book stuff as well? And
I like comic books. I'm more of a fantasy world fan, such as The Lord of the Rings, Witcher and stuff like that. More of an elves, dwarves, and Underdark kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's always and sometimes that's always a bit of a male preserve, like men. Find? I think I see more women are getting involved.
Oh yeah. It's become very popular over the past few years, especially tabletop games, role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, stuff like that, because it became really accepted and geek is chic these days.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
More people gets into it, and it's not as niche anymore. I don't think it's quite popular now.
Yeah.
So definitely more girls getting into it, and you don't feel odd stepping into a comic book shop anymore or stared at as much,
Was it to a point? It was a bit like that.
Oh,
that
yeah.
The music would stop and all the
Yeah.
blokes would look around and go, "Hang on a minute, there's a girl here." Really?
Yeah.
So you've had that feeling before, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I've omitted our local comic book shop for quite a few years. I just kind of walked past it and looking in through the window, but I was just too intimidated to go in.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm intimidated because I think, they're going to ask me a question. And I'm not
That's the thing. Like, I don't know. Sometimes there's people where if you're into something and you display it, like you wear a T-shirt with a band logo or a comic book character, you feel like you have to know everything about it, because then somebody will walk up to you and ask, "Oh, do you know when this comic came out? What was the year?" Well, and you're like, "No, I don't have to know all those things. I just like it." What's the problem? But I think it's becoming much and much more acceptable now.
Brilliant, fantastic. And I don't want to break, and I can just see, just on your hands there, is that some of the injuries that you can go through with the performance?
Fire, yeah. We've actually filmed with the Monster Circ group that I'm with. Basically, we've taken on some new members recently. A couple of months ago, we had auditions, and we've taken up on 3 new girls.
Right.
So this past Sunday, just gone, we actually filmed a new promo video.
Oh, right.
So there was lots of fire going on and lots of run-throughs. So yeah,
it's part of the...
I just slightly singed my knuckles here.
Okay, that's tough. That's hard. So it's like I would be in Casualty right now, asking for painkillers. So, and again, that was auditioning with 3 girls, all fire eaters or different.
All do fire, but also have their own specializations. Like one of them is a burlesque artist and does freak show and fire.
Right.
Another one is an amazing aerialist, does silks, super strong. I envy her muscles, genuinely do. But again, she does fire and she's multi-skilled, so does stilts and whatnot. And another one who's also an aerialist, but hula hoop artist and also works with fire. Yeah. So everybody works with fire, and then each of us has like their own specific skill that they're trained at more.
Right, okay. Yeah. So do you specialise in fire then? That's part of what you're about.
My thing is pole,
right.
and then fire and then
grind. So let's go back to when you started to do pole dancing and getting into that. And when did you feel right, I can do this now, but then you just go, I think I'll try fire eating, or how did that all come about?
Yeah, well, I started learning pole to get fit. I was getting comfortable and getting takeouts in. My jeans started fitting a little bit less than before. So I thought I have to do something for fitness and found pole dancing, because basically regular ways of exercise always bored me and I can't keep it up for longer than a month or 2. So I tried running, tried weights at home, and it just wasn't working. So pole was the only thing that just sucked me in straight away, and I never lost interest for that. And it's been a good few years. I was learning it. I was going to classes every single day, and then started helping out in classes. Then started teaching some beginners classes and kind of enrolled from there. But eventually we formed a little group with the teacher who taught me and a couple of other girls from class, and we started performing together under the banner of the Upside Down Ladies.
Sure.
Which isn't a thing anymore. We've kind of that whittled out. But from there I went on to join the Monster Circ, and that's how all my fire and sideshow bits started. And
with the pole dancing that you've done now, I think there's a difference, and I think the perception is, see, if you say pole dancing, people immediately think, well, lap dancing club, and there's that sort of sleazy side of it. But this is far more about exercise and performance, and it's a different thing. Just explain. Yeah, it genuinely depends what direction you want to take it in. I'm not going to say, lap dancers are, sleazy or aren't pole dancers, pole performers, but
not every lap dancer is a pole dancer, and not every pole dancer is a lap dancer.
Sure.
And it does seem to be like an exchangeable terms for people who really don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
sometimes
so I think
I've been called a lap dancer on numerous occasions, or
Yeah.
presented as a lap dancer, even though I don't do lap dancing.
course.
I'll do pole dancing.
And I think it is the way the media present, and they'll tag
Yeah.
these names on. Okay,
You would have thought that it would have changed now. Like
Yeah.
pole dancing and pole performance have been on like very popular shows, like Britain's Got Talent, and
Yes.
stuff like that. You had pole dancers and pole performers doing
pole
more of a
performers is
fitness.
I like that.
kind of,
I think pole
you know.
performers is a better title.
Yeah, I think so. But within pole performance, you can have different styles.
Sure.
So you can have stripper style,
Yeah.
which is like born in a strip club,
Sure.
basically. You can have more fitness style or contemporary style, or
Yeah.
sexy and fit. So
Sure.
it really depends kind of what sort of performer you are and what you're comfortable with, I suppose.
And do you have to, and okay, with any exercise routine or any sort of any type of style that you do, you have to build up your fitness. You can't
Yes.
just
Yeah.
take it. It's a slow process.
Yeah.
And so is there certain exercises and moves and practice you do with the pole then to keep yourself
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
agile and fit to do
Yeah,
it?
definitely. You just practice. You just dance. It really depends what mood you're in as well. It's difficult to go in and just practice one move, but there's so many moves that I can't do just yet as well myself, even though I've been doing it for probably about 8 years now.
Wow.
So you can still get stronger or more flexible or
Yeah.
more balanced, I don't know, to
Sure.
be able to achieve all those crazy moves that some people can do. I'm more of a strength performer than flexibility, 'cause
Sure.
even though I'm probably more flexible than average, I'm not super flexible, so
Of course.
I can pull splits off in performance, but not out of a performance, out of off stage. It's the adrenaline pushing you a little bit more when you're on stage, so you can push yourself further.
So and when you're on stage, you say so the adrenaline's flowing, so you have to be careful to keep to your routine, so you don't cause an accident or hurt yourself. Or something. Okay.
Accidents do happen, but obviously when you're trained and you know what you're doing, you also know how to recover.
Yeah.
So even if accidents do happen, it's not a big deal unless unless you know how to recover from it or how to cover it up.
Sure.
So to speak. So nobody else notices unless they know what you're supposed to be doing.
Because I do like character comedy, and you think, well, I've just messed that line up. People have and nobody's had a clue what's going on. They think, well, it's all part of the act. So
Exactly.
it's like, okay. So the pole dancing is a massive part of what you do, and then the fire eating is So how did you sort of get into that, and when was the first time? My question is to you, how do you even start to fight? That first time you do it must have been totally nerve-wracking.
I always liked fire since being a little kid. I grew up in a little village. We had big backyard and we had bonfires very often in the summer.
And you're originally from Poland.
Yes.
Whereabouts in Poland?
South of Poland, so it's near Katowice, Krakow, that area there. And I've always been a tomboy. I've got a brother and a sister, and probably spent most of my childhood with my brother running around scraping my knees, helping my dad in the garage. So I'm quite confident with tools and fire and stuff like that. So it was a little bit. I was anxious. Don't take me wrong. I respect fire and I know what damage it can do.
Yeah.
So it's been all explained to me before I even started, and I researched loads about it. Like you can Google things. Fire eating, fire breathing, what damage it can cause, what's the risk. So you have to know all of that before you even start.
Sure.
Because then it's your choice, but you have to make an informed choice.
Yeah.
So obviously you have to be insured. You have to have all those safety features in place. You have to have a fire blanket. You have to have a fire extinguisher with you. You have to have. I would never practice fire on my own.
You can't
in case
you can't just. I'll pop into the back garden and let off a few.
Yeah.
You can't. It's got to be always.
Well,
with
you can, but I'd rather not.
No.
I'd rather be safe than I don't know.
Yes, no,
Dead.
quite. or on fire and no
Exactly.
one around. It's a good
Yeah.
policy to have.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Running
So
it.
I've learned it with Monster Circus. So the lady called Dolly Monster, which is
Okay.
our head. She's our monster,
Right,
basically.
okay.
She started the group and she's been there from the beginning. She's the one who's driving us all. She's really experienced with that sort of thing. So because she's been doing fire for I wouldn't be able to tell you. Don't quote me on that, but about at least 10 years.
Wow,
You know,
okay.
so she knows all the ins and outs, all the safety. So that's how I started. She taught me how to do the fire eating, the fire breathing, what to keep an eye out for, you know.
And with the term fire breathing or fire eating,
Yeah.
because actually you're not eating fire, it's
You're
obviously that's-
extinguishing it. Yeah.
So what are you at? Because I've seen it and I've been watching it as an audience member. So you're taking in, is it paraffin? Is it what? And then into your mouth and then you blow it.
So for
out.
the fire breathing,
So that's fire breathing.
you take paraffin into your mouth
Right.
and then you spray it out and we
Right.
set that spray on fire.
Right. Okay. So that and when you do it, you've obviously got to just make sure you give it a good.
Blow, yeah.
You can't back out of that point.
I know.
Have you had sort of like sort of mini accidents where it's
Oh, yeah.
really where it's caught fire in your
Well,
mouth?
no, not when it caught fire in my mouth, but the difficulty, the tricky thing is you have to keep the paraffin in front of your mouth, like in front of your teeth. You can't swallow paraffin; it's toxic.
Right.
You know, it's not good for a human body.
Right,
That's
yeah.
where another danger is. It's not just the danger of burning.
Yeah.
It's the danger of swallowing
Accident,
paraffin, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
a very toxic substance.
Sure,
you know.
sure. It's not mouthwash. It will
No.
really do yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And you keep that in front of your teeth, do you?
So try and keep it in front of your mouth as
Yeah,
much
yeah,
as possible,
of course.
and obviously block your throat so you're not, so
Yeah.
it doesn't go down,
right,
so it
right.
doesn't go back.
Of course,
yeah.
of course. Right.
So that's the, for me, that's the most difficult thing.
Right. Okay.
It's not the danger of it coming back with the fire. It's yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
And of course, so that's fire breathing.
Yeah.
And of course, fire eating. That's the one where it's
You're extinguishing
It
the
looks
flame.
like marshmallows on sticks.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's and so.
I wish it was.
And that is and what is that's like a metal skewer with
Metal skewer
a bit
with
of-
the Kevlar wick.
Right.
That you soak in fuel,
Right.
either Coleman's or paraffin, depends, and you set that on fire.
And this is the one where you see the performer, the head will go back,
Yeah.
the wick is in the air, and you come down, and it comes into the mouth, and that's where. So what's the trick there? You're blowing
Out.
to
so
put the flame out,
you need to remember to take a deep breath in
right?
before you even come near your face with the fire.
And we should
then
say
you-
just before anybody,
Yeah.
anybody trying this at home, anybody listening, do not attempt this.
No, it's not an instruction or
Yeah.
instructions.
Better get this in now,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Before I get launched upon by do.
Well, like I said previously about all the safety,
Yes,
and
of course.
you have to know all the risks and all the dangers.
course,
So it's
of
not
course.
it's not as straightforward as some people might think. And I was
Yes.
like, oh yeah, I just tried this at home. Don't.
Exactly.
Just
Don't. It looks. You make it look. On that note, you make it look incredibly effort, but you're
Yeah.
a professional. And I think that. So sorry. Going back. So as with the fire eating, so as it comes down,
Yeah, you
take
just
a deep,
gently blowing out,
Right.
as the flame goes in your mouth, and then you suffocate it, so you cut off the oxygen,
Okay. So
like you would be covering
Sure.
a candle, you know,
Sure.
extinguish it.
And then so do those go? Do you learn both of those as techniques? Or does one come before the other? What was the first? Did you learn fire
I
breathing
learned
first?
eating first and then
Okay.
breathing. I think breathing is the far more dangerous one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that has to be your informed choice whether
Yes.
you want to do it in the long run or not,
Yeah,
because
okay.
it will have health
Yeah.
deteriorating.
It's just don't swallow it. It sounds to be like that. Okay, that's and then so that then develops into your acts. You've had the pole dance, and you're building up now, and then we get into the bed of
freak
nails
show,
or the freak show. So this is so. So how do you then start to then line a bed of nails? How did that one come about?
Well, again, it all happened with Monster Circ. So
Right.
after learning fire and angle grinding, which we haven't quickly just mentioned,
Yeah, no.
angle grinding.
What's that then? Go into that quickly.
So you can grind. You basically have got an angle grinder.
Okay.
You know, the power tool.
Right.
As I love playing with power tools, so that's one of them. And you just grind metal,
And this
creating
flows-
sparks.
right,
You
so
know,
this- yeah.
so it looks. I personally don't think it's that difficult or complicated, but it looks quite impressive.
It look- I've
especially in
seen
the
it
club
and it's-
setting. You know,
it's
it just
fantastic.
looks.
It looks-
It's a yeah.
It looks brilliant. And that-
Lights display. You know.
It's wonderful. It's a real, and that is, and I'll put a picture up on the podcast as well, because I've seen you of the guitar around the corner,
Yeah.
and it's a fantastic picture. And the sparks, obviously, do they catch you, or do you make sure you have the right clothing?
they
and-
can catch. Obviously, you have to with fire and sparks. Anything
Mm.
hot, you have to make sure you're wearing the right clothing. So
Right. Okay.
we always wear leather or heavy cottons, like heavy clothing that doesn't
Right,
catch on fire
fire,
easily.
okay.
It's not synthetic or anything.
Yeah.
No wigs. That's for sure.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
You go up immediately.
And they melt as well. You can't wear anything that can melt into your skin
Right.
if it was to come in contact with fire or heat.
Yeah, yeah. And Jay was saying that again, latex, anything, you won't get insurance with.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
very hard to insure yourself if you're putting yourself in more
In
danger
danger,
than you
okay.
should, kind of thing.
And so with your so you always make sure your hair's tied back, and or do you keep a hat?
You just need to be aware of where it is.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And don't take me wrong, I've set my hair on fire on numerous occasions, but it's you just brush it off. You just need to be aware of what's going on.
Okay.
No hairspray because that will make it go off.
Right, okay. So-
But accidents happen. You know.
They're just all part of your day's work. So
Yeah.
so the angle grinding, that looks great. And will that be to music as well?
Yes.
Or, yeah. So
Mainly to music. I like Killing the Name Of.
oh,
It's a
brilliant.
really good song to
It's
angle grind to. Some are better than others because it has to have a good. For me, it has to have a good beat.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
you know, then you can have a play with it. It's almost like air guitaring, but
Yeah.
on piece of metal instead.
It's fantastic with that. No, brilliant. And then the bed of nails. So
Yeah.
that's and how does that work? And how do you start to practice?
Okay, so I started again with Monster Circ. So they already had bed of nails as a piece of the group equipment.
Sure.
So when we would get together for rehearsals or practice, you know, all the different bits of equipment would be there. So you're always welcome to try them, obviously under instruction and observation.
Of course.
So again, you just need to be very difficult. It's all about weight distribution. There are different types of beds of nails out there. Like I've seen some performers that can walk on the bed of nails.
Right.
Okay, but I think basically because the nails are closer together, then you can do that. But for example, on our bed of nails,
Right.
you would not be able to do that because the nails are a little bit further apart.
Okay.
But lying on it and, you know, doing splits and whatnot is all fine.
Yeah,
It's
wow.
just weight distribution and making sure your hands are always on the sides.
Right.
So don't go over nails.
Oh,
you know.
so
Don't push yourself up on the nails.
So as you're getting off of bed, you think,
Yeah.
right, so you could quite easily
Yeah.
put your...
And you don't want to slide on them because that will scratch and cut your skin.
Right, okay.
Where if you lie on it, it will just prick it slightly.
But then I've seen performers like yourself, and then you'll be on the bed of nails, and then they'll get someone to stand on
Yes.
top of you, which
Yeah.
is so everybody's then going, oh my god, this is going to
Yeah.
end up in like a spaghetti show. She's going to go through them.
Yeah.
And
I love that moment. Like I think that's my favorite part of Bed of Nails performance, when we get somebody to stand on me, because it just looks mental, but it's so funny watching the reactions, you know.
And is that the buzz for you as a performer, doing all of this?
I think predominantly the reason I got into freak show stuff and why I enjoy it so much is the reactions it gets from the audience, because the crazy stuff you do might seem crazy, but the people's faces and the noises they make are just precious.
What's the strangest reaction you've had?
People cover their eyes,
Yeah.
scream. I had people scream. People leaving the room because they're a bit fainty. That's always fun. Just creeping people out. I love it.
And then has anybody sort of come up to you and asked really bizarre questions about, are those nails real?
Oh yeah,
What's
you
the
get
sort of-
that all the
What's
time.
the sort you get? Just the, can you think
Yeah,
of...
are the nails real, or is it sugar glass you're eating?
Right.
Are you actually eating the bulb? Do you cover your skin with anything? Are those real staples in a
Right.
staple gun
Yeah.
when I staple things to myself and
Yeah.
then let the audience pull it out?
Right.
They still ask me if those are real staples. But the most bizarre, not even connected to Freak Show, but I went to a fire outside a club once, and one girl asked us, "Is this real fire?" Like, how would it not be real fire?
She's thinking you were just CGIing it in.
As we go along.
That's great. That's
So
great.
real glass, it's all real. There's just
And
techniques to it.
And you do the walking on glass as well.
Yeah.
And I saw it years ago at university, and I asked the most stupid question because this bloke was doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I went round his house, and he had all these bottles in a bath.
Yeah.
Beer bottles, and I went, right, I see what you're doing now. You're putting the bottles in the bath and the water softens the glass. and he went, no, you twat, it's to take the labels off the bottles so when you smash it with a hammer it distributes. And I was like, oh.
I leave the labels on, thinking they add the effect.
Yeah, right. So you leave the labels
Yeah,
on, right. I was like, hey, you're tough then. So it's like, he likes to take the labels off so you've got a nice even cut. So again, the trick is weight distribution.
Yeah.
So you do walking on glass as well.
Yeah.
So
you break bottles, but you sort the glass and you make sure
and you
that it's
eat
right.
and you eat light bulbs as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
How do you start to, again, you're mentored as a teacher, someone shows you how to start doing it.
It's all within Monster Circus. It all kind of happens within that group. We drive each other to do more crazy things. I think.
And do you stick to normal bulbs or energy efficient ones?
Clear regular bulbs.
Clear
The cheaper the better,
yeah,
because you're
yeah.
eating them another day.
Yeah, they're expensive, the energy
I
saving
know.
ones. You wouldn't want to get into.
No.
Oh, I see. Oh, right, okay.
It's a very light diet.
Hey,
Sorry,
that's
my only bad joke.
No, I love it. That's staying in. We want those. So that's fantastic. So, and then anything else we've missed out? All this. So this comes under the freak show sort of element. So
Yes.
So that's.
Yeah.
You've done quite a bit there of
The blockhead as well, which is hammering the nail into your nose.
Yes, I've
and
seen
it's
a
not a
picture.
collapsible nail, just to say.
And it's a real head.
It's a real head, real nose, and
because
real
that's
nail.
so you hammering a nail into your. Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah.
So it's like yes, I have seen that picture. And then again, that's just practice, and there's obviously a space that it goes in, and it's wow. So, and can that go wrong or have you?
Yes,
Yes.
it can. It has never gone wrong for me just yet.
Right.
Fingers
So
crossed,
you-
touch wood. But you just need to be careful. You just need to guide it and know where you're going.
Going. That's fine. Well, again, do not try this at home. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. And the stapler as well. I've seen that as a performance now, and that just seems to be take. So do you have a sort of low pain threshold? I take it you do.
High.
Sorry, high
Yeah,
pain.
yeah, yeah.
Other way around. Sorry.
I suppose, yeah. Some of it hurts. You don't really notice it while you're performing. Again, it's just the adrenaline. It's pumping through your
in
face,
your
and
veins.
you just kind of
Yeah.
It's there. I have to do it. I'm on stage, So.
And how do you keep the act fresh? Are you always looking for, like, you're sitting around? I've been to the studio. Are you sitting around going, "What can I eat next?" or "What can I?"
No, there's a couple of things that I'd like to learn, and I'm hopefully going to learn soon. One being razor swallowing.
Oh, right.
One being sword swallowing, although that's going to be quite probably long and difficult.
I've spoken to a sword swallower.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
that right. Okay.
And
So
potentially like escapism acts.
yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Straight jacket and cuffs and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'd love to get into that.
Wow. And besides all that, what do you do to relax? When you're, how do you?
I make things.
You make things.
Yeah.
And I've seen the studio here, and it's wonderful. All the different, lots of Dungeons and Dragons costumes. I was speaking to Jay about all of that, which I'm going to interview him. So, and that's coming up my question in a minute, because I'm going to ask you, who do you think I should interview for the Funny Peculiar podcast?
Okay.
So, but there's all the different. There's wonderful corset. It was the female gladiator outfit.
Yes.
Yes. So that was wonderful. And there's other guys there making lids and boxes. And there's what do you call the? Is it like a leather gauntlet or arm shields? Is it? So that's all.
Bits and pieces of armour, gaming gear, dice cups, dice bags,
it.
you know.
So this is all part, and I'll cover this all with Jay, because this sounds fascinating, and it's such a massive area, and again, a huge circuit, which I don't think people know about. So, so who do you think I should interview for the podcast?
What are you looking for?
So
who have you already?
I've had a sword swallower, magicians, but again, if it's another, like the lady who trained you as a fire eater, because she sounds like
she's absolutely fantastic. I love her to bits.
And what's her name?
Her stage name's Dolly Monster.
Dolly Monster, right?
Yeah,
okay,
but she's also an amazing tattoo artist. Most of my tattoos are by her, and she's fantastic.
Cool.
I would definitely recommend
I'll get in touch with her,
because
and I can talk. Well, that's great, because I've still not got into tattooing yet, and that's huge as well. So it's part of it. So, well, thank you for today,
no
Bea.
problem.
It's been great, and just there's so many different things you do, and I look forward to when you perform next. I'll put all your details in the bio bit on iTunes and all the other bits. And I'll keep promoting. I'll get it on Instagram. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Funny Peculiar. Tune in next week. More great guests.
Bea was absolutely amazing. Some of the stuff she does, again, go to the Instagram accounts, Twitter feeds. You'll see all the pictures. So I'll give you those links again. So it's Bea Noir on Facebook, or Bea Kania, Kania. You can find her on Facebook or Instagram and Twitter. It's the same. It's at Bea Noir 86, and you can find her there. Thank you for listening to another podcast of Funny Peculiar. Keep downloading, keep sharing, and please leave your comments as well. You can go to the website. There's loads of fields you can leave comments in, and you can do it on the Facebook account as well. And love to get your feedback, or get me on Instagram and let me know what you think of the show. So thank you again, and keep it funny peculiar.